Alright, everybody, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to the first ever AEW Dynamite in TEW. TEW9, our booking series here. Change the world, save. I have a different shirt on. Did you guys know I own different shirts? So AEW Dynamite, this episode. But first, for the pre-show, I booked the press conference, the hype press conference, whatever you want to call it, for this TEW, AEW, announcement. They did this in real life. Basically, in this save, the person who made this mod had it set up to do 2 press conferences as like pay-per-views, and I wasn't too crazy about it. I didn't want to do 2 press conferences. I thought I could just put it on the pre-show and we can just act like it was before, just use your fucking imagination, okay? So we'll get through this pretty much as fast as possible. It's just go set up an angle or two for the first AEW Dynamite episode. Wow, I misspelled Young Bucks. Okay. So Shivani's hosting the show, the press conference. He introduces the Young Bucks. Young Bucks talk about how excited they are for the AEW Tag Team division and all that, and then they announced that the Lucha Brothers will face SCU on the first ever episode of AEW Dynamite. Then Brandy Rhodes comes out as like the women's division person. I thought having her as the face of the women's division is probably better than Kenny fucking Omega. So Brandy, she talked about how excited she is that AEW has signed Hikaru Shida, and how fans can tune in to the first ever AEW Dynamite to see Hikaru Shida. So then Tony Khan comes out and he's with Shivani, and they bring out Chris Jericho and then Kenny Omega. Shivani talks about how it will be a 4-man four-man tournament elimination style, to see who will become the first ever AEW Men's World Heavyweight Champion. And Omega and Jericho will face each other in that tournament, and it will be a new main event for the first ever AEW Dynamite. So this is maybe the conclusion of the rivalry that's now spanned across New Japan, All In, Jericho's Rockin' Wrestling Rager Party, Yacht Boat, whatever. So they do a little face off, and then all of the members of the Elite come out. So then all of the Elite come out, and the press conference, they're out there, Tony Khan, and they're all about to do the sign off. Omega's like, and goodbye. And then James Storm comes walking up on the side. He's got a 6-pack of beer, adults, and he tries to hand them out to everyone. The Bucks and Omega kind of just put it back down. Tony Khan's like, no thank you. But Adam Page takes the beer. Storm pops open both their beers. He goes, to the start of a wrestling company that will change the world of wrestling as we know it for the next decade, to AEW. And Hangman turns his head to the Elite as he's drinking his beer. James Storm turns his bottle upside down, blasts him in the back of the head with it. The bottle breaks on the back of the head of Hangman. Hangman just drops to the ground. The Elite then go to, attack James Storm, but security jumps in the way. Then the Elite oh my god, Hangman. Hangman's just knocked out. So then, as the fireworks go off in the arena, the commentators welcome us to the first ever edition of AEW Dynamite on MTV. Those are not the three letters that you're used to hearing with AEW, but let me explain. TNT had no interest in negotiating with us. MTV was the biggest brand that would, and I thought, fuck it. So commentators talk about how excited they are for the launch of AEW Dynamite. Talk a little bit about the stars that we might be seeing. But then they're interrupted by the music of James Storm. Storm comes out, the microphone in his hand, and James Storm comes out with the microphone as commentary complains about being cut off. Storm recalls smashing Adam Page over the head with a beer bottle at the press conference, and he says that AEW officials and medical team have confirmed that Adam Page has a concussion. So Storm talks about how he rid AEW of the fake cowboy, and now it's only him. He plans to drink this beer, kick some ass, and show everyone why the hell he is James fucking Storm. But wrestling has more than one royal family, and Cody Rhodes is here to stick up for his fellow Elite member. Cody tells Storm that cowards act like friends, just get the upper hand on opponents. Tells Storm that since Cody's a executive vice president of this wrestling company, and we're in the middle of a wrestling ring, and we're both wrestlers, well, let's just cut the bullshit and have a wrestling match. So he calls a ref down to the ring and says, let's do it right here, right now. So then we get directly into that match, like Cody had announced. Match goes for about 18 minutes. Storm and Cody, they go back and forth here. Storm uses a brawling style, and Cody has to take these big risks to overcome him in the match. So Storm, keeps him down as much as possible, goes to nail Cody with a pile driver. Cody slips out of it, crawls between the legs of Storm. Storm turns around. Cody caught her. Cody then rolls over onto Storm. Instead of pinning him, he picks him up from the ground in the crossroad position, nails Storm with it, covers 1, 2, 3. First ever winner on AEW Dynamite is the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. So afterwards, Cody celebrates in the win. Very good, wholesome moment. Commentary talks about, how big first time evers are and how rare they are in wrestling. And says, Cody's going to be able to claim the first ever victory in AEW. Cody celebrates, and then the lights go out. And everybody goes, what the hell is that about? Commentary goes silent. The crowd gets quiet with anticipation. And when it comes back up, Scarlett Bordeaux is standing on the apron. Cody's looking at Scarlett Bordeaux. The fuck are you doing here? From behind, Cody gets put a rear naked choke by Killer Cross. And as Cody fades, Cross's submission tightens. Cody is choked to sleep, and the segment ends. So Killer Cross and Scarlett Bordeaux make their debut, attacking Cody Rhodes. Oh, what a saying, right? Okay, so Hikaru Shida faces off against Mercedes Martinez. Mercedes Martinez ends up picking up the win, but the important thing to note is what happened afterwards, which in this case is happening before, but reverse it. I'm not perfect, but I'm pretty damn close. Hikaru goes to shake the hand of Mercedes Martinez, and Mercedes just kind of bumps her, knocks Hikaru down. Mercedes just steps over her and gets out the ring. So, kind of a bullying tactic here. Wow. Okay, so this is fucking weird. Did I skip something on accident? What the fuck is wrong with me? Okay. Bandito faces off against Sammy Guevara. And, these two have a pretty good high-flying match, just that whole type of thing. And then, Guevara picks up the win after Ricky Starks, distracts Bandito. He grabs Bandito's leg. Bandito's like, what the fuck? And then, Sammy Guevara is able to capitalize off of that. So then, commentary talks about next week's main event. Cody and Kazuchika Okada in the main event. The winner of that will face Kenny Omega versus Chris Jericho, which we will see in the main event of tonight's AEW Dynamite for the World Heavyweight Championship, the first ever AEW World Heavyweight Champion. The commentators briefly talk about they don't know what type of shape Cody's go being after a hard match with James Storm, and after being choked out by Killer Kross, and also they wonder why Killer Kross targeted Cody. Really good rating there, 75. Okay. Hey, there we go. Okada had a very poor gimmick debut. At this one, he was like being sad, and he like had his balloon like It the Clown. Oh no! That actually doesn't sound too bad. Okay, sorry. I seen the cracked tailbone. I seen tailbone. I was like, oh my god. For some reason, I thought tailbone was in his neck. So I guess we'll just have to see after how bad that injury was. So Pac and Darby Allin have an absolute, brutal match. Basically, how much punishment can Pac inflict on Darby Allin? How much punishment can Darby Allin take? Pac ends up winning by submission with the brutalizer. He just kind of kicks the shit out of Darby in this match. Darby has, some spots and some fire, basically trying to tear himself apart, just to beat Pac. But Pac ends up winning with the brutalizer, which we're really putting over early here in the AEW save. Darby sustained a cracked tailbone in this match. Thank you, Taz. So then, Pac keeps the brutalizer locked in. It's locked in. And, the ref is trying to get Pac off. Pac won't get off, so he calls, a bunch of other refs down. Eventually, they pry Pac's hands like this and finally get him, And, so Pac, they force him out of the ring. And Darby starts to stand on his own feet. And he's looking at Pac. And he goes, I'm still standing. And Pac goes to charge back into the ring. But now there's so many referees and everything, he can't even get back into the ring. So, Darby loses this battle, but seems like he's almost kind of won the war so far. So then, the Lucha Brothers face off against SCU. This was a really good match. The Lucha Brothers end up picking up the win when Rey Fenix pinned Frankie Kazarian. Great, overall, from Rey Fenix, 77 in ring performance. Great, segment rating. But, yeah, so this was the match that the Young Bucks had hyped on the presser, and now we see why. It was a great match, it sounds like. So then, afterwards, we see as the Lucha Brothers celebrate in the ring, pans out backstage, we can see, watching on the monitor, it's the Jurassic Express, Jack Perry, aka Jungle Boy, and Luchasaurus, and the Bucks end up approaching Jurassic Express and tell them that they better be preparing for next week, because last time a meteor caused the dinosaurs to go extinct, but this time it's gonna be a super kick. Die smack. Jungle Boy gimmick. Small penalty to charisma. Oh no. Luchasaurus. Awful. Jesus. Jeez. Well, that's terrible. So then the commentator talked about how up next, Kenny Omega and Chris Jericho come head to head. And in that match, it is a back and forth affair. These two are both multiple time world champions. Both can seriously say they were the greatest wrestler on the planet at one time or another. Story of this match: Jericho, he uses his veteran prowess against Kenny Omega. Stuff like making sure when Omega locks him into a figure four that he is right by the ropes. He grabs a hold of Kenny's hair when the ref isn't looking and dumps Kenny out to the outside with it when, Kenny was stomping him out or whatever. But Kenny Omega is just a step faster. He's the younger man. He has less rust on him, which is funny because, Kenny's kind of beat to shit. But, hey, what others? But, hey, what other story are you gonna tell? You know what I mean? So, eventually, Kenny hits Jericho with the V trigger. Jericho bounces off the ropes and he nails Omega with the code breaker. As he hits Omega with the code breaker, Omega falls backwards into the ref, Brian Hebner, I think we have, and takes him out. And then Jericho goes to pin Omega. Nobody's there to count, obviously. Jericho calls up Omega again for Codebreaker. He goes at Omega. Omega catches him, goes to put him in the one-winged angel. As he does, entering the ring is a giant. William Morrissey, better known as Big Cass. As he enters the ring, he goes right for Kenny Omega. Jericho slips out the one-winged angel. Omega, looking at this giant behemoth in front of him, just fucking runs right at him. Morrissey takes his head off with a big boot, picks him up, slams him down with the choke slam. Jericho covers, Morrissey exits the ring. The ref slowly counts 1, 2, 3. This is our best rating of the night with a 82. Jericho picks up the win. And afterwards, Tony Schiavone enters the ring. He congratulates Chris Jericho begrudgingly. Congratulates Chris Jericho. And he says, Jericho, you're one step closer to the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. How does that feel? Jericho talks about, he's been a world champion all these different times. People ask him, what's his favorite time he was a world champion? The next time. That's my favorite time. He says, Jericho's beef with Omega was about who was the best wrestler in the world, but he figured something out, something that Kenny Omega is too egotistical to try to figure out. Jericho realized he doesn't want or need to be the best wrestler in the world. Jericho's already proved himself. See, Jericho doesn't want to be the best wrestler in the world. He wants to be the smartest wrestler in the world. That's what he is. And now Jericho will be aligning himself with people like William Morrissey, these younger guys who look to learn from Chris Jericho and hope to have careers that mirror that of Chris Jericho's. And he says, I've been the best wrestler in the world for, ever now. Now it's time for me to be the smartest. And the first step of doing that is going to be to win the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. And I just took out my biggest competition. And then, coin flip, Kazuchika Okada comes out. Okada comes out, doesn't have a mic or anything. He points at Jericho in the ring and he does, the title belt motion thingy. And he's staring at Jericho, and then Cody Rhodes comes out. Rhodes comes out and he beat up and shit from earlier. He's tired. But him and Okada go face to face as Jericho watches from the ring, hyping up next week's Dynamite. That's where we end our show. We get a 72. Fuck yeah. Hey, I'll take that. Got up our, production, music, broadcast, live experience. I think NXT is killing us with that. Maybe we won't mess with it. I mean, if we're gaining popularity, what's the point? I want to see what Darby's injury is, though. Okay, 30 days and it can be worked through, so we're all good. Made a profit of $51,000, and we're gaining popularity, so that's awesome. We're gonna have to find broadcasting in the international markets, but for right now, with America, we're doing great. That's where I'll leave you guys today. Thank you for watching, and smash that like button if you want to see the next episode. Thank you. Goodbye. Tell your mama I love her.